welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Today is day 22 of the 31 Days of Tarot, and what that is it's a video blog sprint held here on YouTube by another reader named Ethony. And what readers do is to participate every day throughout the month of January. We answer one question that is related to tarot and oracle. And today is, what is your top tarot decks for the last decade, so between 2010 and 2019. Now, I tried to limit it only to 5, but I kind of ended up with 6, so I'm just going to go through them real quick. But I started studying tarot when I was a teenager, and I really got back into it recently. So all of these decks may not have been printed or produced between 2010 and 2019. I think a majority of them are, but I did definitely acquire them or purchase them in that time. So to jump right into it, the first deck, and also all of the names are in the description box below. The first deck is the Vice Versa Tarot by Lo Scarabo. And all of the bags you see here are made by me. I sew in addition to reading cards. But what I love about the Vice Versa Tarot is that it's a double-sided deck. So what it is that one side has the image of the card upright, and then the back side of the card is meant to be read as the card in the reverse. So it's really, really beautiful, and it gives really in-depth messages. You know, it's funny that in this deck, one of my favorite cards is the Three of Swords in reverse. And I know that's crazy. You would think that most decks that you would not have like a negative card as your favorite, but the images are just so profound. And I really, just some of the depictions of the way that it shows the card in reverse, it gives so much deeper meaning. And I really like using it for personal. You'll see it in my reads as well. But it's just a great deck, and it's very versatile, and it's always served me really well. And again, the reversal of the deck just really speaks so much. It really just says a lot, it speaks volumes, and it really does, as I drop it on the floor. Sorry guys. It really says a lot about, the meaning of in reverse. So that's deck number 1. Now, deck number 2, you saw this in Show Us, I forget what day it was, but it was Show Us Your Favorite High Priestess. And what this is the Zillich Tarot. And just so you know, the rest of the decks are what I refer to as my minis. They're all my little decks, which means that they're the smaller size cards. But what it is it's the Zillich Tarot, and it is again, all the names are in the description box below. It's published by U.S. Games, and what's beautiful is just it's a German artist. She does watercolor, and I love this deck. I love this deck. I pull decks, based on mood and feeling, and it does have my favorite High Priestess. It just has really lovely images. Now, the one thing about this deck is that it does not have the traditional, page, queen, king, knight. What it has is that the page is princess, the knight is prince, the queen is still a queen, but the kings are knights. So I know that's a little bit of a flip-flop. So this would be the King of Cups. And the watercolor images, like here, this is the King of Pentacles. And you see, it's just so lovely. Like, look, the horse he's riding is like chewing on grass, like he has, no place else to be right now. And that is so just the calm energy. There's my girl, my High Priestess there. And it's a lovely, lovely deck. A lot of the imagery that I really relate to some of the more poignant cards, like I have a really deep affinity for the Queen of Swords. I do not think that she's a cold character, and I just love the fact that she has things like masks, like you need to, you come at that queen true, and the Hermit, but it's a lovely deck. It's all watercolor, which is a really rare thing. I mean, a lot of art is digital nowadays, but it's just, you feel the energy in the cards, and it's just very easy to follow. And I definitely have nights where nights and NIGHT where I'm just drawn to it. I go to that deck as my chosen deck. Now the third deck that I go with is a real favorite as well, and this is the White Sage Tarot by Theresa Hutch. This is also produced by US Games. There's a larger version of this deck that started out on Kickstarter, but what it is it's a really lovely deck that it's more of a pip deck. And pip, if you're not familiar with it, it means that there are character images for the court and the major arcana, but all of the minor arcana is represented by ribbon and different symbols. Like it doesn't have as much of a scene to it. But what I thought was lovely about this deck is that first off, the major arcana has really got some great symbolism, like this Justice. I did a How to Tarot I do a series every Tuesday called How to Tarot, and what I do is I pull decks that have what I believe to be the best imagery for a card, and I actually pulled this for the Justice, and because it's lovely, in certain religions, when they believe that when you pass, they weigh your heart against a feather, and it's kind of it's a traditional view of, how you lived your life if your heart was lighter than a feather. But what I think is beautiful is that the pentacles are sand dollars, the cups are coffee cups, and tell me that is not freaking adorable. And then all of they have different animals for the court cards. So the Page of Cups is bringing you coffee, and oh my goodness, yeah. So the swords are really cute. They're more of kind of the panther family. And what I also really love about this is that the pip cards have ribbons in it, and the ribbons correspond to certain chakra colors. So you can also read it in that way as well. So it isn't just you seeing wands. And what I think is really cute is that the wands are actually kind of pussy willows, and I just think that's really sweet. It's very natural. It's a very natural deck, and I really get into that. And the images are so relatable. The Chariot's really lovely as well. But yeah, this is definitely, it's a deck that I really heart. It's very organic, and I feel very connected to it. And it is one of my favorite decks of the decade. It's not, it's not in the top 5 deck that I use every day, but I gravitate to it often. Now, the 4th deck is the Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa Decort, which is also a US Games. And again, all of the descriptions are in the description box below. And this is another, again, all of these are pocket size or smaller size cards. But what I think is lovely is that these images are very simplistic, but what she does is she really incorporates a lot of moon and water imagery, and she has kind of Kabbalic symbols. She's very diverse in the way that she depicts certain images. Like, I love the fact that, the devil has a spider web, and her star card is one of my favorites. We're about to How to Tarot on the star coming up, and, the jury is out. I'm already... I call it auditioning. The week before I go through and I audition, so this is going to be kind of up, but tell me that's not the most beautiful thing. And the star really almost looks like the Star of David, and she really does. She has a lot of Egyptian imagery, but the images are just so beautiful. And her 2 of Cups too. You got that. It's just really sentimental. You really connect to it. Now, similar to other decks, the deck we just talked about, the Zillich Tarot, she does not have the traditional Page, Knight, King, Queen. She does have it listed as Princess, which is Page, Prince, which is knight, and then queen, king, or I'm sorry, it is queen. I think the kings are knights as well. No, it's a king. It's a king. Okay, so, oh, that's weird. I ended up with, we got the King of Wands over here. I'm not sure what's going on over there, but yeah, you got kings and queens, but the page is princess, and the knight is prince. But I think the imagery is really lovely. She has a really kind of beautiful but direct way of, and the other thing is she does have keywords under the minor, no she doesn't. I'm sorry, it is just regular wands. But I find the images very interpretable too. It's like if I'm drawn to this deck to do a particular reading, you know, there's a lot of interpretation I can glean by the card that comes out. Okay, so moving right along, we've got the fifth deck, and this one I use quite frequently, and I find myself drawn to it. To be honest, when I first bought it, I thought that it was bigger than what it was, and it turned out to be yet another one of my minis, but they're little, but they pack a lot of punch. And what it is this is the Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan. And what it is it has this really realistic image to it. It's very, very real. But what I love about it is that all of the pages are depicted as adolescents, which I appreciate because I just think that's awesome. I do think she has one of the most beautiful empresses because I love the fact that the empress is so mature looking, but yet she's fertile. She's the mother of things. And she definitely, you know, we just had a tarot actually just yesterday, so that one's a powerful one too. But I do think that the images are just very strong. Look how playful that Page of Wands is. It's so great. But I end up using this deck quite a lot with my both for daily and for my D20 readings, which is the more fantasy-based kind of reads. But I do think the images are just, they have a realistic feel. I like the way that she describes it, the way that she kind of sees it. It is still very traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but it has a twist on it. And the different images in it, you can really just pull a lot from it. Like I love the fact that the Seven of Wands she has as this kind of Merlin wizard, you know, and it's almost like, okay, you can control whatever you have the power to manifest what you want to, but what do you want? You know, what do you want? And it has more of a mythical kind of feel to it, but it keeps all of the traditional meaning, and it's just really strong. One card in here that always really stands out that I think is great, I'm not immediately seeing it, but the Five of Wands I think is just awesome because, you know, the Five of Wands is about conflict, but what I thought was great is that she has it depicted as 5 different, you know, dragons and 5 different staffs, and they're all of equal power. And that's what I always see whenever I see the Five of Wands. It's like, okay, who's going to win? No one knows, right? Because it really is. Oh gosh, I'm really flipping through, guys. Sorry, almost there. It's got to be the next one. Oh, there it is. Yay. Ooh, about 3/4 of the way through the deck. But I just think that's great because that really sums it up. You got 5 dragons. All of them, they all look fierce, right? And all of these guys look badass, right? So it's almost like, okay, you know, this is like a showdown. This is like watching wrestling. Who's going to win? Who knows, right? And that's kind of like, I always get that energy that always stands out to me anytime I see the Five of Wands. Is that I think that's a really cool image, and that's one of my favorite images in that deck. But I believe that is also US Games, but the names and the descriptions are in the description box below. Now, again, I tried really hard to keep it to 5. I had to add a 6th one, and this one is not even an honorable mention. It really is. It really ranks as one of the top ones. And what this is actually yesterday when I did the post about your 3-card spread, I used the 3-card spread that I mentioned. I used so much, and I honestly drew a blank. I could not recall where I had read it, and I try to be very careful to give credit where it's due. And I do believe, I'm almost 100% positive that that spread really did originate from the author's website of this deck. And this deck is the Everyday Tarot by Brigit Esselmont. She goes by Biddy Tarot, which is Biddy, and she is a very, very prominent teacher. And what it was is that she created her own deck. And this deck of cards is honest one of the first decks that I purchased when I got back into tarot. And what I love about it is that the images are very simplistic. It's all, white, purple, and gold. But I just thought it was I loved the way that she did it, and I thought it was just really lovely cards. And oh, check it out, we got the 5 of Wands again, right next to the Ace of Pentacles. I wonder what that means. You guys sending me energy? Please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. But if you do see some kind of message that seems to be coming through, please feel free to comment. Let me know. I'm curious. But yeah, I just think the images are really, really lovely. They're very poignant for being so simplistic. The star in this deck is also one of my favorites. I just think it really speaks volumes, even though the images are more, streamlined. I'm not even sure what you would call this artwork, but it's so beautiful. And honestly, the lighting really doesn't do it justice. It has a lot of nuance to it, and it really does get a message across every single time. And so this is another deck that that when I want an honest answer, it really speaks. So we got the 3 of Pentacles. But yeah, so that is my top 6 decks of the decade from 2010 to 2019. Of course, I'm a tarot nut, so it is too much, but please also check out at the beginning of the month, I had done my top 5 tarot decks of the year of 2019. That really is the decks that I use probably every day. They're the ones I use in my readings and everything else, so I know I have a problem, but at least I'm glad that I have enough to share in a 31-day video blog sprint with you. So if nothing else, right? Justifying my spending habits. But I hope you enjoyed. Again, these are really lovely decks, all of them. Any one of them would be an awesome staple to have for daily use, or just for personal reflection. And I hope you can join me tomorrow. The video blog sprint continues with day 23, where I'm going to list my top 5 oracle decks of 2010 to 2019. I should only have 5. So feel free to join me for that, and I'll see you then. Bye.